Who knew bumping into you at a strip club all those many months ago would have you in here right now?
Yeah, I figured I'd be back. I knew what I had coming. So, you know, and I'm a fan of the show. So
that's what's up.
I've met you in my neighborhood, though. If people hear strip club, they think, we was just in my neighborhood. The club's been in my neighborhood since the 80s. I grew up like maybe 8 streets behind it. I just bought my daughter a house in that neighborhood. So
nice. See, I think, Mike, I don't know if people get the level of duality you run around with.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute you speaking at Congress, next minute you with Blue Flame, next minute you opening up businesses, the next minute you blowing smoke with the homies, the next minute you mentioning something righteous on the album and building an altar to your mother and your grandmother. But then after that, you know, you letting people know that you believe in the Second Amendment. Like there's so many different facets that a lot of people would think this ain't right. You can't be all these different things. See, this is hypocritical.
Yeah, I can be me. That's what I can be. You know, I can't. You know, I don't know what other people judge as hypocrisy is on them. That neighborhood that you grew up in, on that street is the Blue Flame Lounge. That was started by a family whose father, you know, was reported to be a gentleman of the underworld. My father was a young rookie police officer and locked that man up for being drunk. That man, my father said that man was the most gentlemanly man he had ever met. Just sat there, told him, young man, get me to my cell, took off his diamond ring, sat there, crossed his legs and waited for his attorney to pick him up. And they had to return the 30 grand they found on him. So, you know, that club is right down the street from St. Paul's Catholic Church, where all the smart girls went. And right down the street from my elementary school, which was one of the best. And that family gave as much to the Civil Rights Foundation as any legitimate family. So, you know, for me, in the neighborhood I grew up in, the preachers lived there, the teachers lived there, the sinners lived there, the bootleg man lived there, the numbers man lived there, and all these people had a firm influence on me. You know, I was Betty's boy, I was niece's son, you know what I mean? So for me, I absorbed all the good I could out of everybody. Everybody from the people who did carpentry and electrician work, my grandma sent me out with them. They all came back, said the same thing. They said, he's a hell of a talker. He could be a great salesman, but he ain't much for work, Betty. So he got something to do with his mind. You know, I had been trying to sneak in the Blue Flame when I was 15. You know, by the time I got in there, you know, me and Sleepy, we, you know, just kept coming. And before you know it, we, like our uncles before us, we, you know, we became stable. So for me, I don't see hypocrisy and duality. Black people have been who we are. Harriet Tubman had to talk just as fluently to the people in the fields as she talked to people on Congress. Frederick Douglass had to have the ability to talk to the people picking cotton, just like he had to talk to diplomats in Ireland when he was trying to explain why this country. So for me, I embrace being a black person that fits the totality of the spectrum. I'm as comfortable talking to the junkie in front of the store as I am sitting in front of any leader in government and talking, because I'm just a human being.
Let me ask you something. I totally agree with that. Do you feel like those different elements inside of the community is a vital asset in young black boys being raised in these impoverished neighborhoods?
They've been to me, but I never said I grew up in an impoverished neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, I don't give you that same shtick. You know, I didn't have the most, but what I had was a 900 square foot house. I had 2 grandparents that was 54 and 44 when I was born, and they was determined. And black people need to, like when niggas say I came from nothing, like no you didn't. You came from your mama, and you came from your father, and they was something.
Right.
If they wasn't nothing but in love when they made your ass. So you know it gets over romanticized. I know somebody who came from dirt for real. My partner, my A&R, like little brother, he came from Flint, Michigan, and an upgrade was Little Rock, Arkansas.
Right.
And yet he sit there before you, a father, you know what I mean, a good man to a woman, one of the most gentlemen guys ever met. So if he don't use banging in Little Rock and Flint, Michigan for an excuse, I'm not gonna use the West Side of Atlanta for an excuse.
Right.
Everybody was together, just like Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance. You had poor black people, rich black people, smart black people who didn't have all the sorts. You had gangsters, you had politicians. If you watch Godfather Harlem, you get to see imagine Harlem as a whole city.
Right.
That's exactly what Atlanta is. My grandmother could get to any mayor within 3 to 6 phone calls because she was active in her community. They communicated, collaborated with other communities, and the mayor needed votes. And when it came time to get extra 1,000 votes, you're gonna go to 2 places, the church and the strip clubs. And I would say barber and beauty places, because that's where your extra 200, 300 votes gonna come. So what I learned as a child was just how to make sure you shake hands with everybody and find some commonality. So what other people call hypocrisy, it's because they feel inferior if they're not on a team. Other people want to be on a team because they want their team to win. You know, I want my team to win. I want my candidate to win. I want my church to win. I want my religion to win. I just want black folks to win.
Well, that was my next question. Like, where did we lose that commonality? Everybody where we stopped judging.
Yeah.
Right. My grandfather was a hustler. I never drank or smoked in my life.
Yeah.
Nobody ever called me a square because of it. And if they did, I just considered them, well, I'm ignoring you because that's dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. I've never understood why we feel the need as people to judge each other for the different roads and different paths we take.
You act like your masters act.
Say it again?
You act like your masters act. Yeah, it's not intrinsically in black folk to look down because everybody got a purpose. My grandmama went to church every Sunday, but the numbers man, she played the numbers on Monday, so she had to know the numbers man too. And the numbers man didn't want no niggas like us walking in there. He'd rather the church ladies be walking in the club. Because if she walking there with a book full of numbers, the police ain't gonna stop her. Right, we come in with these big ass gold chains and shit, jumping out of the car. The police gonna know, hey, what you doing? let me see what you got. Well, I would take that. And then you leave, you that holding the goddamn stash, you owe the numbers man.
Right.
So everybody has that in our community. I think it's, to me, we criticize ourselves publicly too much. It ain't nobody business what black people do right or wrong. Ain't nobody business but ours. So, you know, fuck all that. I ain't judging black folks across the line. If that's how you feel about me, fine. But I've matured to this. You know, that was the time when I remember I had first discovered autobiography of Malcolm X, and you know, Message to the Black Man about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I came home to my granddad. My granddad was born in 1922. And I'm not even thinking to myself, he is the same age as some of these organizations. I'm talking to him, I'm rallying, you know, I dare you, and you know, all that old shit. You know, I say, man, I ain't eating pork no more. You know, this is the devil's in it. I gave, you know, there's nothing wrong. My grandfather grew up, I give you some context, my grandmother, they had a farm. And my granddad looked at them like he considered them wealthy because they got potato sack draws and fruit for Christmas. My granddad said, it wasn't no Christmas for me at all. He had two little sisters and a mom. He worked in a sawmill at 8 years old. So for him, if a hog could get killed, a hog could get ate, like he said, because the alternative was starvation. So I remember giving him this whole thing. He said, man, if it wasn't for the hog, you wouldn't have had no Elijah Muhammad. I said, what? He said, yeah, man, the boy from Georgia. And when I thought about it, I said, well, goddamn, I ain't never seen nobody from Georgia not eat a hog. You know, not trying to validate the pig the most honorable, but just to say, my grandfather was telling me it comes in phases. Right now, it's new to you. It's a phase to you. He never discouraged me from learning from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's readings, never most noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey. He never deterred me, but he always made sure I was grounded in understanding that you're a black Southern man. And there's some things that are going to be nuanced, that are not going to be that's not going to be understood by the greater world, but it don't take nothing from you.
It's trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.